Good morning. I would like to convene the August 3rd meeting of the Michigan State Transportation Commission. I'm Vice Chairman Mike Hayes, sitting in until the new chairman is announced. Welcome everyone to the meeting, and welcome to my fellow commissioners. A special welcome to our newest commissioner, was appointed back in April, but unable to join the April meeting because it was kind of short notice. But Commissioner Rhonda Welburn, welcome, and would you like to make a couple comments, and you'll have to push the button.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and actually I think it's a privilege to be able to serve on this commission. I'm looking forward to hopefully contributing in a meaningful way, and I just want to thank Vice Chair Commissioner Hayes for this warm welcome. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. And then before we get into things, I'd like to offer congratulations on behalf of the Commission. At our April meeting, we were listening to the presentation by our acting director, who is now the director, Brad Wyfrick. Congratulations on being appointed as the director of the Michigan Department of Transportation.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to have the position, and appreciate the confidence that Governor Whitner had in me.
A lot of us have worked with Brad for many years and know that that's a great appointment on the part of the governor, so we look forward to working with you, Brad. And with that, let me go right to Brad's report as the director.
All right, and before I do begin into the report, thank you. I appreciate the kind words about my permanent appointment to the director's position, but I also wanted to acknowledge Greg Brunner, who is now permanent in the COO position for the department that serves as our chief engineer. So, Greg, welcome to your new position as well. With that, I have a topic that I want to talk to you about today, a fairly short presentation about an effort that we're putting forth to look at national best practices. So in the past, I think it was probably just pre-pandemic, the department was embarking on a process that we called integrated program management. I was going to go back and look through some of the old minutes to see if Tony Cradfield or anybody had come and talked to you about it way back when. But the integrated program management is an effort that we put together to look at how we're structuring our program from the beginning of design all the way through construction on individual projects. You know, are we allowing ourselves the right amount of time? Are we letting it at the optimum time? Are we packaging projects and allowing flexibilities and schedules that would ultimately result in bidding efficiency? We want the contractors, as they're bidding on these projects, to be able to have as much opportunity as possible to be efficient. So over the last few months, having conversation with others, including the governor's office, we started talking about what are the things that MDOT is doing to make sure that our processes and the things that we do are optimal. I think we do a lot of this already. We work through our AASHTO committees, other industry organizations. I think a lot of times Michigan's looked at as a model on many things, but I think now, given our situation, it's time for us to kind of double down on this. And through the integrated program management, we've decided to do this national best practice assessment. And it is pretty much what it says on the slides. We're going to engage with folks from around the nation that have expertise in very specific parts of what we do to find out, are there things that we aren't considering? We think we are, but we want to be sure. And we want to go to those folks that are seen as national experts to try to help us review our processes, review how we do things, and just ensure that we're being as efficient as possible. So there's 5 main tasks to this, and I'll go through each of these one by one rather than read through them. But maximize infrastructure funding. Right out of the gate, there is a lot of opportunity right now, especially within the bipartisan infrastructure law, or IIJA, a lot of discretionary grants. We want to make sure that we are going after every dollar we can, and again, maximizing our ability to pull those dollars back into our program. We know we need to be strategic. We can't go after everything. There's match involved and other financing pieces to this. But again, we want to make sure that we have our procedures and processes in place, so we're really maximizing the dollars that we're pulling back. We also need to look at mitigation strategies for delivering our 5-year program. We have a 5-year plan. We've had a 5-year plan for many, many years. But we all know that through the pandemic, we've seen a lot of things with respect to supply chain, whether it's labor, whether it's inflation. These things, it was kind of a perfect storm of issues that kind of hit us over the last few years that we know put pressure on our program. We need to kind of look at what those issues are and then look within our program to see, are there mitigation strategies that we can consider that'll allow us to maximize the amount of work that we're able to deliver. So that's kind of the first task. And I'll stop there for a second and let you know that each one of these tasks is a 90-day sprint. We're not looking for 2 years worth of analysis, to try to get this done. We want to get the right teams together. We want to get the issues in front of them. We want to make sure we're talking to the right folks and bring that information back to us so that we can get that and implement as quickly as possible. So the maximizing infrastructure funding one, I went back a slide, is actually underway right now. So that's the first one. 5-year plan, delivery mitigation strategies. The next few that I'll talk about with respect to those 90 days, they're not consecutive 90 days. There's a lot of overlap. I think we're going to try to finish this by March or so, early spring. So that is the intent from a schedule perspective. We also want to look at our program planning process. I mentioned our 5-year plan. We've had the 5-year plan for almost as long as I've been at the department. It's served us very well. It's evolved over time. But are there other things out there? Are there processes that others are using? Do we need to look at a longer horizon than just 5 years? Should we be looking out further for illustrative projects and really kind of what we want to be, so that we have a lot of answers, or not, we have a lot of information already taken care of that we can fold into the development of our 5-year program. So again, really looking at how we plan our program is another piece of this. Again, I think we do a pretty good job. We're very asset management focused, but if there's other great ideas out there, let's see what we can find. Excuse me. The next one is performance measures. I tend to think that if we're going to change our process, this is an example of maybe where there'll be some overlap. If we're going to be changing our process for programming and whatnot, we kind of need to know what our targets are. For many, many years, again, we've had a pavement condition goal, 90% good and fair. That's been a great North Star for us for a long time. Especially as we developed and matured our asset management approach. But we need to know what other things are out there that are important to the program, important to our customers, so that we can ensure optimal delivery of the program. Obviously system condition's always going to be a part of it, but operation of our system is a huge deal right now. We need to make sure that within the infrastructure we have, that it's being operated most efficiently to reduce congestion, ensure that we have freight movement. We got to look at resiliency, big issues with carbon reduction right now. So what other things should we be considering as metrics as we look at how we're developing our program? And the final one is a bit of a catch-all. It's really about It's just this. It's quality, innovation, and efficiency. What are the other things that other states are doing from a material perspective, from a construction methods perspective? You know, are there practical design alternatives? So practical design, we have our standards that we build to, both national standards and state standards. But from a risk perspective, are there different decisions that we could make that could ultimately reduce the cost of our projects while still delivering valuable projects for our customers? So, like I said, this one's a bit of a catch-all, but it's, again, turning over every stone we can so that, you know, we can make sure that we're incorporating those into our processes. And I've always said there's going to be potentially a couple of outcomes with this. One, we're going to engage with folks, and they're going to bring us some ideas that we've never seen, never heard of, and we were able to figure out how those things get folded in. Another outcome for some of this might be, you know what, Michigan's position and Michigan's processes are really good, and it'll validate kind of where we are right now. So those are kind of the things that I'm hoping to get out of this. And really, you know, we've talked about infrastructure funding for a long time. And, you know, we have a governor that wants to fix the damn roads as well. But we know that there's additional resources that are going to be needed. When we go to the public and say that we need additional money, when we go to the legislature and say we need additional money, I want to be able to say, here's all the things that we're doing ahead of time to make sure that we're being the most efficient department that we can, and we're being the most effective department that we can at managing the taxpayers' dollars. So I will stop with that and be happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you, Director. Are there questions from the Commission?
I have one, if I may.
Yes.
So you're talking about hiring a consultant. Are you putting that out as an RFP, or you have somebody in mind?
Well, I mentioned that's why I started out with integrated program management. We already had a contract in place to do integrated program management. This is going to dovetail very nicely with that work, so it's an amendment to an existing contract.
Other questions? I think to the point that you just made, Director, that it's an extension. I've been sitting on this commission for, I think, about 10 years, and I'm always pleased to see the kind of discipline that MDOT has in looking at best practices, communicating throughout the country with other transportation departments. And so I see this whole thing, as you told me about it, Director, that this is an extension of some already great work and discipline that MDOT's been practicing, but I think it also shows a great deal of professionalism to say, okay, we've been doing really well, we have this discipline, but can it be even better? Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we'll come out of this with is you never want to rest on your laurels. You want to constantly be improving, and I think that's exactly what the department's doing here, so I applaud that.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the Director while we've got him in the hot seat here?
All right, I've got one more.
Okay.
Sorry. All right. New girl, you know, what can I say?
That's all right.
So you're coming through with these recommendations in 90-day increments. Some of them are overlapping, and I'm assuming that the hope is that you'll come up with actionable or some design changes that you can implement pretty quickly?
Yeah, that's the intent. Again, when we thought about doing this, you know, we could have made this really big and long and drawn out, but the idea is really sprints. Let's get the issues in front of the right people. Let's get the ideas generated, and then it'll be incumbent on the department then to take those ideas, assess them. I think when it comes to things like performance metrics, we'll be working with the commission. We have commission policies on some of those things. So yeah, the intention is to be speedy here and that by next spring, we're able to assess all of these ideas and look for those actionable items that we can take forward.
Thank you.
I think to that point, any of us that have been involved in lots of different analyses and strategic planning and all that kind of thing, that if you give it 2 years, all the work will be done in the last 90 days. So I applaud your timeline. That makes a tremendous amount of sense. Will you, Director, will you give us kind of an update at our November 9th meeting as to kind of how,
Sure.
what kind of progress is
Yeah,
being
that'd
made?
be great. Absolutely.
Okay, anything else? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Let's go into then the agenda and the commission business. The first item would be our minutes from our April 20th meeting, and hopefully everyone's had a chance to review them. I would entertain a motion to approve.
Offer that motion, Mr. Chairman. Support.
All right. Commissioner Turner moved and Commissioner Johnson seconded. Any questions or comments on the minutes from April 20? If not, all in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, those have been approved. Troy, if you could talk to us about the Transportation Asset Management Council appointments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commission. Today I have two appointments, one being a reappointment, one being a new appointment to the Transportation Asset Management Council. The Michigan Municipal League would like to lay before the STC James Hurt reappointment, and the Michigan Department of Transportation would like to lay before the Commission Eric Mullen as the department's representative for the TAMC. A motion is needed, Mr. Chairman.
I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Commissioner Johnson moved. Is there a second?
Support.
Support from Commissioner Turner. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, they are approved. Thank you, Troy. We next have some real estate services disposal of real property interests that Dee Parker will present us with. This will not require a motion. This is informational.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioners, for having me here today. I present to you, depending on what page you're on, for me it's page 14 of the packet there. We have 4 parcels that we are looking to dispose of as a department. And so again, this is FYI purposes for you, and I wanted to see were there any question in regards to the 4 properties that you see in front of you.
Dee, there's no controversy or challenges around these. It's fairly routine, is that correct?
These are fairly routine. Yes, sir, they are.
Are there any questions? Okay, if not, thank you very much. Appreciate that, Dee. Our favorite commission auditor, Jack Cotter, will now make his presentation.
It's good to be a favorite. Thank you. Good morning. It is still morning. Good morning, everybody. In addition to the more than 20 team members who provide the services that I have discussed over the last few commission meetings, we also use information technology to do what we do. And as you should expect, the professionals on my staff are very proficient at Microsoft Excel, lookups and pivot tables and specialized functions. But other primary software products that we use, I'd like to talk about today. And the first one is called Teammate. And knowledge is not the same thing as judgment or wisdom, right? Unfortunately, even the best educated employees with tons of experience outside OCA can't go to the shelf and pull down a volume of judgment or wisdom. But they, to do that, they allow them to make, the right decisions most every time. So, but however, every auditor who has a moderate technical ability and no OCA or MDOT experience can be a functioning employee within a few days of beginning employment at OCA with this teammate product. This is possible because of teammates' inherent knowledge management abilities. Teammate stores practically every instruction for every service or engagement we perform. Whether an engagement is routine or a one-off, all planning and execution and reporting is documented at OCA with teammate. We can tell folks what we did and why we did it and how we did it. For example, not only can every auditor perform county maintenance audits that I've talked about in the past, but they can pull samples for MDOT P cards and travel transactions, perform generic steps of virtually any engagement, or seek a reminder of what steps or decisions that we made on a project 10 years ago. Therefore, nearly all of the OCA's activities that I have mentioned over the past few commission meetings are contained in teammate. Teammate is an outstanding tool for dealing with the risks of employee departures, like brain drain, as we all heard probably. Years and decades of experience walk out the door when an employee leaves their job. Teammate also facilitates mentoring, teaching, providing constructive criticism, pivoting when the industry changes, when industry changes its expectations and requirements, and I mean the auditing industry. Managers can see exactly what the auditor purports to have done and looks to see if the auditor provided sufficient and appropriate evidence and documentation for their efforts. Managers can ask questions, make suggestions, provide expectations, and approve of all of the documented efforts of the employees. It's a great product, and we've been using it for years. Another product that we use is currently called Galvanize. It was previously called ACL, which stands for Audit Command Language. I used it for many years when I was at the Office of the Auditor General, before I had this job. And I recollect that I acquired it for OCA when I arrived here. And at OCA, Galvanize is primarily a data extraction and analysis software. We periodically select samples for MDOT to test for travel vouchers and P cards, as mentioned a few moments ago. When OCA performs its risk assessments of MDOT activities, we use Galvanize for our samples. Previously, we used Galvanize to analyze the extent to which contractors use penny bids and whether such use was causing chronic problems for MDOT. We have also used it for combining and manipulating massive databases. So it's very powerful, very good software. And the last one I want to talk today about is a product called AASHTOware. Now, MDOT uses AASHTOware for many purposes, but we auditors primarily use it for analyzing bid information and identifying line items that might be at risk of having understated quantities. We combine the information from it with Excel to create charts that show the percentage for each line items that the bidder exceeds the engineer's estimate and the dollars associated with those amounts. We are able to select line items that represent more than a certain amount of the engineer's estimate. Basically, we go for the larger items, and we visually see those items where either MDOT put together an exceedingly low estimate or the contractor provided an exceedingly high bid. And when this occurs, and the project is a state project, I might ask MDOT to double check its quantities. A low quantity and a very high bid mean that when an issue arises on the project down the line, the contractor will receive the very high bid price for each item that was not included in the letting. On rare occasions, MDOT determines the quantities are wrong, and I assume decides whether it will reject all the bids. To my knowledge, MDOT has not rejected all the bids because it inaccurately estimated the quantities. But I figure it doesn't hurt to ask. So, OCA analyzes MDOT data for the purpose of helping MDOT bring the highest value to state taxpayers. These software products are key tools in OCA's efforts to advise MDOT. These tools in the right hands have paid for themselves many times over in terms of productivity and effectiveness. So, thank you for your time, and perhaps you have some questions I can attempt to answer.
Before I open it to questions, Jack, the director used the acronym and you just used it, and so for those that are not used to it, AASHTO, could you say what that means?
Yeah, that's not very nice of you to ask me that. I believe it's the American AASHTO. Let's see here. American Association of
We'll
State
let Brad do it.
Highway Transportation Officials.
So it's a National Association of Transportation Officials that is great for communication, sharing best practices, and so on and so forth. So it's just sometimes when we have, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, Jack, but
No, you're not.
the
But I'm glad
acronyms.
I'm still your favorite, though.
The acronyms, yeah, you're still my favorite OCA commissioner or auditor. We throw a lot of acronyms around in these meetings, and I feel for new people on the commission to be able to absorb them and remember them. So that was my sole purpose there. I would encourage members of the commission, especially new members, to get to know Jack and get to know what his office, the services they provide. It's a critical support function, if you will, of this commission. And all kidding aside about Jack, he does a tremendous job, he and his staff. And so he's a critical part of our success as MDOT too. So with that, questions of Jack Cotter?
I have a quick question.
Commissioner
for Jack.
Johnson?
So, as Brad just spoke about this national best practices body that's being put together, I know AASHTO has auditors, and you guys have a group. How does the audit function here for MDOT compare nationally, or have you guys? Do you do that type of peer exchange and peer comparison of practices?
That's a great question. We do have every state and Puerto Rico and Guam and DC, they do have a ME that exists. So they do all have audit groups. They're not all structured as I am, as my office is. Some are merely internal auditors, some are merely external auditors. My office is both. We do get together once a year. I believe the end of August here is our annual meeting in Phoenix. And we get together and we beat around topics, the best practices and how things work. We talk about federal regulations. We work with the feds. Who's at the meeting? All of us states and the federal government that are representatives on AASHTO. Wrong way to phrase it, but they're invited by AASHTO and basically CPA firms and engineering firms. They're all there. We're all in one big pot, and we talk about how things work and what things work and what things don't. And yeah, there are some sharp elbows every now and then about some topics in terms of the way to go, but a lot of communication, a lot of knowledge shared, including teammate. You know, when I got here 10 years ago, I would say maybe around half of the entities still were not using any kind of software to help them do their audits, to help them organize their stuff. And there are now several products out there. I think most of the states are in Teammate or moving towards Teammate, but there are competing softwares out there that they're using. I think very few don't automate their work papers now. But yes, there's a very healthy interaction of the auditor types associated with AASHTO. Does that help?
It does.
Thank you.
Any other questions of Jack? All right, thank you very much, Jack. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the kind words. Thank you.
Now we'll go into the bid letting and processes, and Patrick, if you could go through those, we'd appreciate it. These will not require motions either.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here this morning. We have 3 reports that we provided to the Commission. The first is a document titled the Quarterly Bid Letting Summary for Quarter 3. This documents all the items that were let in the third quarter, which is comprised of April, May, and June of 2023. In the third quarter, we let 126 projects. Are there any questions about that report?
Any questions, Patrick?
I have a question.
Yes.
As I read through the list, one of the things that I noticed was a notation for each of the items that were let, indicating the DBE participation requirement. And what stood out was that the requirement, and I believe that stands for disadvantaged business enterprise, right?
Correct.
Yeah, what stood out to me was that the percentage of participation per project was not uniform, it was different. And in some cases, there was no requirement. So I was just wondering, as a new commissioner, if you or someone else could describe to me how that percentage participation is determined, and why it's not necessary in all of the projects.
I will do my best, but there are groups of folks in the department that probably we would be best to also have them present on that topic. We have a team of employees within the department that work with our Office of Business Development that set those goals that are originally, we have a statewide goal that is set by Federal Highway. They look at the makeup of the project, the type of work that's in the project, and whether we have pre-qualified DBE firms that would be eligible to do that work in the area that the project is being let. And then a final calculation or determination of that percentage is included in those projects. I probably didn't do this justice on what you're looking for, but I do think that we can definitely get you the information that explains that entire process.
I would love that information, thank you.
It looks like our
Director
directors-
Wyfrick, would you like to talk about that?
I agree with Patrick. We got people in the department that are probably far more knowledgeable and to be able to give you more detail. But I think it really boils down to a couple of things, is the type of work being performed and the availability. So what we have available in the Superior region might not be what we have available in the metro region. And then again, the different types of work, there is more availability of DBEs than other types of work. So that's really what they're looking at to make sure that we have that balance. That's why it's differential, and there may be some where there just isn't the availability of DBEs, and you'll occasionally see a zero, but I don't think that happens very often.
Thank you.
Commissioner Welborn, I will make sure that that becomes a point in our new commission orientation as well. So we get, the Office of Business Development will be part of that, and I will make sure that they are fully prepared to discuss that.
That would be very helpful, thank you.
Good question, thank you. Okay, Patrick, what's up next?
The second document, titled Bid Letting Trends for Fiscal Year 21 through 23 through the third quarter, documents the various trends in the bid letting process, including the number of projects let, the number of single bidders, and the number of all bids rejected, as well as payments made to the contractors in the third quarter. Does anyone have any questions about that report?
I have one.
Commissioner Salisbury?
Are any of these projects prior projects that were above engineer's estimate for the prior year, and then they were recalculated and rebid?
I would have to look into that. That's a question I'm not prepared to answer at this point, so we can look at that. On the
Thank you.
payment side, we are making payments for projects that have been let in prior quarters that are being constructed.
Thank you, Patrick.
Other questions? Okay,
And then finally, our third document is the P card, the procurement card transaction activity that we had for the third quarter. So it shows the total amount that we paid with our procurement cards, as well as the number of transactions for the last 3 quarters.
any questions of Patrick on that? Commissioner Johnson?
Yeah, Patrick, I'd like to go back to the number of bids
Okay.
per region. It looks like we're getting a number of projects where we have 2 bids. Is that an accurate representation of that's?
I would say traditionally it's between 2 and 3 bids. I think the average is over 3, and I think that's on one of the other schedules here. And if not, we can provide that. I think the last statistics I saw, it was like 3.6 bids per letting.
So my question is, trend-wise, over the last 10, 15 years, are we seeing more bids per project, less bids, or is it holding steady?
I think it's fairly steady, but we can get you that information
Okay.
for a 10-year time frame.
Thank you.
Any
No.
other questions?
I would say, and I say at pretty much every commission meeting, the bar charts and graphs that are provided are tremendously helpful. We didn't used to have this kind of visual representation, and I don't know about everybody else on the commission, but for me, it's kind of overwhelming to go down through spreadsheets of lots and lots of numbers, but I can understand graphs, and so I appreciate the work that everybody puts into those, Patrick.
Thank you.
Anything else on your end?
No, I am all set.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
D, quarterly bid justification summary. And the April letting pilot, you can go right into that as you see fit.
Thank you very much, Shakina. Good morning again, commissioners. Back to talk to you about the quarterly bid justification summary report that you have. It's over 100 pages. Depending on if you have your computer out, or if you're looking at it, it's page 61 through page 171. And of course, this is regular information here for you, but it kind of goes through all of our bids that we've had for the third quarter. As you can see, right now from fiscal year year to date, our percent over is about 8.7% over the engineer's estimate. And so throughout the pages there, again, it lists the projects that were, the bids that were rejected. If you look at the graph, the red dots show those projects that were rejected. And then also towards the latter part of the pages there, for me, it also lays out all of our justifications for all of our projects that were 10% over. Again, projects that are 10% over, we have to provide justification to, and all those are or have been included in this packet for your review as well. We also have a justification rejection report summary as well. That's also included in the packet as well for your review. So a lot of great information there for you. Again, that kind of lays out for this third quarter here. So I just wanted to see if you had any questions for me in regards to that information that's in front of you right now.
Dee, I would only say that the pie charts that show kind of what are the drivers of those overages are really helpful. They're not overages that are for some specious reason. It's usually materials, location, traffic management requirements, which if any of you are traveling around Michigan, you know how extensive that is, and that all costs money. So it's interesting to see kind of why there are some overages. Any questions from the commission? Commissioner Johnson.
So, do we know that the entire nation and especially the transportation industry was hit with this inflationary bubble. Has that modified some? Are you seeing a moderation of that inflation that we were seeing for a couple years there?
I think it's up and down, Commissioner, right now. Again, we have a lot of projects that are out there and that we're seeing, 10% over, as you can see, going back to even June, let me go back here. You can see some of our overages there. Before, I think last year we were at 16%, maybe come October. I'm trying to get to the page now. And so we have been seeing up and down, I guess a roller coaster, I'll say, in regards to the bids as relates to inflation. And we know inflation is still happening today as we speak, and it's not going to go away overnight as well. So we fully understand it's going to take time for things to kind of settle so that for that normalcy, I guess I'll say, at this point. But right now, I would say, Commissioner Johnson, that it's kind of up and down. October, we were 16% over, and in May, we were 2.25% over the engineer's estimate. So again, it depends on the project as well, location, and things like that as well also plays a part in all of this also. So materials, resources, all those things come into play as it relates to our bids.
All right, thank you.
Other questions?
I've got one, please.
Commissioner Brown?
Thank you. So the data that you've presented here, the overages are over and above contingencies, correct?
It's over and above our engineer's estimate. So engineer's estimate, we have a set dollar amount, and then we have a 10%, I'll say, overage piece right there. Anything above our 10%, that's where we have to provide a justification for that project.
Pretty universally?
Yes. Anything over 10% is definitely a justification on that. So if a job comes in at 8%, no justification is needed, although we do have to make sure that we do have the funds to basically move forward with that project.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on this part? Okay, how about the April letting pilot? Dee, could you talk to us about that?
Yes. While Shakina's working on this, back in April, Commissioner Johnson had inquired about our pilot April letting that we had did for that month. And at the time, I had indicated to Commissioner Johnson that we had just sent out a survey. I think the survey was going to be completed. I think it was May 8th, I think was the deadline of the survey. And it was sent out to, I think, over 2,000 companies, again, folks individuals who do work with MDOT. And Commissioner Johnson at the time stated to me that I'm interested in seeing at our next meeting the survey results. And that's what I'm here today to present to you, the survey results from our contract industry as far as, again, as relates to our April pilot letting. With this, there were two things that we did. Again, I talked about it in April. There were two things that we did for the pilot. One was that we had removed the eligible bidders list from our website. This is where the eligible bidders list is a list where contractors can go and see who are all eligible to bid on that specific project. So it could be 3 names they may have listed, could be 10 names that may be listed, could be 1 name that may be listed. Contractors have to submit information, and our contract service division, they would review that information, and if that contractor is eligible to bid on that project, their name would be placed on this list. Again, it was on our website for all to see, all to understand, again, all those individuals who are bidding on the project. The second thing that we also included in our projects, or in our proposal, is that it is the financial pre-qual rating. And basically, that is a number that we place on proposal where contractors can understand, okay, this project is, say, 1,000 EA. Basically, that project is about $1 million. EA, I forgot what that is, but dirt work or something along those lines, or if not, HMA will be the controlling item on that project. And so what we did for the April letting, again, we removed the eligible bidders list so that was not out there on our website. And the second thing we did for the financial pre-qual rating, we actually put in a range. So it wasn't just one number that a contractor or anyone saw. They saw a range, as you see right here, up to 1 million. Again, depending on the project engineer's estimate at the time. Those are the ratings that we put in for each project in the proposal is what we did. And with that, this is just some quick analysis there for you, comparing 2022, 2023. Just some information there again, like the number of contractors requesting the bid. In 2022, we had 86. In 2023, we had 90 as an example. And you can kind of go further down and see again, comparing 2022 to 2023. Now, is this apples to apples? No, it's probably not apples to apples. And the April letting was selected because that's probably the one of our smaller lettings as far as project goes, as far as the number of projects that we're letting for that fiscal year. And so that's one of the reasons why we went with April. Also, just some general metrics out of the survey that we received comments. We have 132 overall responses we received. As you can see there, 41 was small businesses, 28 were DBE, 59 was prime, where they prime actually on more than one project, and 94 were actually, of the 129 responses, also bid as a subcontractor as well, or was eligible to bid as a subcontractor. So some of the key takeaways from the responses that we received, bidders changed as far as their bidding procedure. Some of the processes that the contractors had to go through, again, I'm paraphrasing based on the comments, they have to change, again, the way they do business. Additional communication was required to gather quotes, more time required to determine bid eligibility value and self-work requirements as well. And didn't bid as many projects due to the extra time that was needed to communicate a lot of the values and a lot of the information as well. So again, we received a healthy dose of feedback from our contractors as relates to this pilot here. 83% of the responses basically they use their existing contacts to solicit quotes. So again, folks that I already know, I just sent information to them requesting a quote, and 56 responses use the plan holders list to solicit quotes. The plan holders list is a list another list that we have at MDOT that's posted to where it shows all those individuals who requested access to review the plans. It could be suppliers, contractors, you name it, anyone that wanted access to those plans, the name would be placed on the plan holders list as well. Again, these are just highlighted responses. 73 of the 106 responses reflected the pilot was less fair overall. There's a concern with the small businesses required to more work was required to communicate established budgets. The bond company's challenges with ranges, as well. I think probably the most important thing, I believe, well, not one, but some of the concerns we heard was the eligible bidders list limited subcontractor pool as well in regards to that. So again, these are just some highlight comments that we received from the contractor industry. Some thoughts on improving the MDOT letting process. Again, I think overall, probably number one comment, I believe, was need the eligible bidders list basically back up on our website to have that information available, because again, this will allow me to know who's all eligible bid on the project so that I'm not guessing. Again, I'm speculating here, I'm not guessing, or I'm not calling around to different contractors asking them, hey, are you an eligible bidder for this project? Are you bidding on this project? Are you bidding on this project? By having that list, you can see it, and you don't have to make all those extra phone calls because, again, that definitely saves time from a contractor standpoint, knowing that the list is out there and you see who's on it. Smaller projects to open up more bids to the smaller companies. And then also, as you can see, breakdown ranges for eligibility as well. You know, we had, I think, up to $1 million, you know, different ranges initially. The thought was, hey, let's make those ranges smaller. That'll help me out as a smaller contractor, because then I can really hone in or focus in on that $300,000 job, or that if the range is from 0 to 500, that's something that I can really look at versus a project that's 0 to $1 million and things like that as well. Spread out the projects across all lettings versus having the bulk of our projects maybe from October to March. Maybe we look at, you know, or excuse me, yeah, July-ish or September, kind of spread things out the entire year as well versus, you know, maybe as opposed to 4 or 5 or 6 lettings, you know, as well. Spread out the distribution of local work. Seems like all the work, I guess is verbatim here, all the work for certain areas comes out at once. Again, that's something we'll have to look at. Maybe as opposed to, as an example, Metro Region letting 15 jobs in one letting. Maybe it's 2 jobs this letting from Metro. Maybe 2 lettings later, Metro lets another 3 projects, something along those lines. Just kind of spread it out. You know, likewise with Grand Region and Kalamazoo and so on and so forth as well. Again, just kind of looking at you know, spreading out the amount of work for each area, as opposed to a lot of the work coming out in one centralized location, quite a bit for one letting. And then with that, you know, next steps, I know some folks are asking, wondering, okay, MDOT, you did the survey, you did the pilot, you did the survey, what are your next steps? And right now, we're still continuing to evaluate and assess the future elements of the pilot. We have not made any decisions yet whether or not we're going to continue or not. That's something that we're still talking internally on as far as what is the best route or the best process, best direction for MDOT to go in regards to our letting process. So that's what I wanted to share with you all today in regards to our April pilot letting.
Thank you, Dee. Appreciate that. Commissioner Johnson, you kind of prompted this. Do you have questions?
Maybe not, maybe not a question, but a comment. This is excellent work, Dee. I think that having pilots like this and learning how we can create more competition in our bids is an outstanding effort. So I encourage you guys to continue to refine and do more pilots with the hopeful outcome that we're getting more competition, more knowledge about how MDOT does business. I do take issue with spreading projects out. Back in the day,
Yes.
we put that October to March
Right.
hand in hand with the industry so we could give them time to purchase materials, do all those things. So that one I'd be very careful on walking back. But no, these are great things, and thank you for putting this together.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, we are letting jobs, you know, Commissioner, in September, you know, October, you know, August as well, again, because we kind of changed our cycle, you know, July to June timeframe as far as, you know, letting projects and looking at projects, and so we have done that, and so we're again, we're going to look at everything, and this being one of them as well.
Excellent work.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners with questions of Dee? Okay, thank you very much, Dee. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Jason?
Good morning, Commission. By a few minutes here still, I'm going to give just a brief summary of Exhibit B, the Exhibit B material in your packet. So we are presenting for the months of April, May, and June, And the MDOT projects, we had about 72 projects, approximately totaling 189 million were finalized. 8 projects were more than 10%, and those will be on a future exhibit with details. 44 projects came in under the original contract value. And then our final monthly contract costs were respectively 1.3, 2.1, and negative 0.72 when compared to their original contract values. The fiscal year for us is averaging about 1.06 over the original contract amount. And then the same for local agency projects, April, May, and June. They finalized 126 projects totaling approximately 110 million. 7 projects were more than 10%, and those will be on a future Exhibit B as well. And then 84 of their projects came in under the original contract amount. There are 8 MDOT projects and 9 local agency projects in the packet specifically, so I can try to address any questions on those projects or Exhibit B.
Commissioner Johnson?
First off, for the elderly and sight impaired, we need bigger fonts.
Oh, okay.
No, just kidding. Jason, do you guys track the overruns by, is it certain designers? Is it local agency? Is it MDOT? How that split happens to refine how we can better do our design and take best practices from the ones who are hitting with clear plans and getting bids that are closer to estimate.
I don't think we've subcategorized them by that. We do, when a field issue comes up and we are talking about responsibility, we'll go back and see who the designer was and have those conversations. But to my knowledge, we have not subdivided consultant X and then analyzed their projects and where they come in after bid. I don't think we've done that exercise quite yet. That would be an exciting exercise that we just haven't engaged.
It might be a dangerous exercise,
Yep,
it'd be
hence
interesting.
exciting, but yes, sir, I would agree with your word.
No, but excellent work, and I think given the ups and downs of the industry, I think MDOT is still doing an excellent job with how they get projects out and how they contain cost.
Yes, that thanks goes to our project offices in managing those projects, but thank you, yes.
Jason, quick question on, so 1.06% is still, it's 1%, right? But it is a bit of a trend up
Yes.
for over the last 5 years. Does that trouble you, or do you think it's a blip, or?
I wouldn't use the word trouble, Commissioner. There are 2 factors, 'cause I thought that might come up. Our new commissioners don't realize historically we've been very lean and mean, if not under, in our delivery of our projects, and there is a slight edging up of that. There's a couple things that impact that. Job order contracting projects they come in, and when they're bid, and it might be best to have that in a working session for you folks, but when they're bid, they bid at basically a one quantity contract, and then we add locations. So those projects are always going to be noted as what I might describe to you folks as catastrophically over, because that's the way we work those projects. It's intended, it's not concerning, it's just the way those projects are because we add work as we need it. It's a pretty unique thing that many DOTs are doing, but that's one aspect. The other aspect that is something to consider for your knowledge is when we bid projects, they give us a uniform cost, and we use that cost to pay for any work they have. If there's extra work that is needed during the course of the project, we negotiate those costs. And because of the volatility of materials, pretty much since the pandemic hit, once we have new work, they're negotiating additional costs that they're incurring because material prices have typically just been kind of bananas for them in the bigger picture. So so I'm not surprised to see a slight gain in that, because our projects are all going to be impacted by additional extra costs, and the material and the logistical impacts of that. We need this now to get this project going. They're paying a premium for that. The item itself is more costly, so those costs will all come into projects as well. So those two factors are inherently gonna kind of help us creep upwards in general. And it's not to that extent where I would call the director and say, I think we should talk because the commission's gonna see X and Y. I just don't think it's there yet. I think those two factors are definitely going to contribute and are contributing right now. I'm sure there's a lot of other leadership positions as well, but that's what I would see from my position. So
Appreciate that, Jason. Yeah, it's nothing to get excited about. Still 1%, which is pretty phenomenal. This is always a data point that, frankly, kind of astounds me. So it's well done. Any other questions of Jason?
I have one, Jason. I like the fact that you guys are looking at some different things of potentially limiting the size of some of these mega projects. And I think that would help the number, the percentage when we're talking 2 to 3, 60%, when there's only a couple bidders. I like that. I'm just wondering, is that going to help? Because are we limited to, let's say there's 10 bidders in the state of Michigan that can handle a project that size with bonding. Is that an advantage to us to break those jobs up, or is it really going to help at all? If those bidders there's only so many people can bid over 50 million, and we break it down to 90, are those 10 bidders? Is it going to make a difference in that bidding, or is it going to help that, or?
that is a crystal ball great question. Inherently, I would think if we break it down and we can get more bidders, we're going to have more competition. But like you have mentioned, there is a very defined segment of our pre-qualified contractors that can bid, $150 million jobs and above. And at that rate, we're also looking at, will there be out-of-state contractors that would come in and then hire local firms as well. So there are opportunities that we think, and there's a lot of discussions as to how we bundle and unbundle things with DBE requirements, small businesses. So there's a lot of things that would impact that question. I don't feel I'm giving a great answer on that, but there are benefits both ways.
And is there a big savings to the department splitting those or not? Because if you're splitting those up, obviously you have some paperwork and a bunch of different things. Is it a different project and different groups that are working on those projects? And is that helping or not, right? I guess those are my questions.
Sure, yes. And I think we probably need to talk to my counterparts in development and see if that's what we're achieving on those bid ends. That's a little before I see projects, so I'd have to get back with you on that.
I like the idea. Don't get me wrong. I like that you guys are looking into all that stuff, and it makes a lot of sense. So
yeah,
I applaud you guys on that.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Commissioner, Director, would you want to weigh in?
Yeah, and just maybe another point on that, I talked about our integrated program management effort that we already have underway. I think this discussion is something that would fit well in that. Again, integrated program management was trying to figure out how we most efficiently set up our projects and how we deliver those. It's always that balance between bundling versus unbundling. Unbundling is more opportunity for more, but with bundling, we get economies of scale too. So I think that the integrated program management effort that we're doing right now, that would be a good discussion for that group.
yes.
One other piece that I can mention on this, as far as large projects, we're doing a slight organizational change. We developed way back 4 jobs ago for me an innovative contracting unit that started looking at design build and contractor or construction manager, general contractor, CMGC. That group handles a lot of big projects. It's evolved over time, and we're actually taking it to the next level, and we're creating a division. I can't remember, is it major projects or mega projects? Major projects. So we're going to have an area of the department where all of the folks working on big stuff that will kind of be able to look at some of the impacts and issues associated with those large projects.
Okay. Thank you very much, Justin.
you.
Appreciate it. Moving on, we've got a couple presentations. Our good friend Joanna Johnson from the Transportation Asset Management Council is up next, and you have a nice four-color piece at your place that was there this morning. That was very informative, but I'm sure Joanna can add a little flavor to it.
All right. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes, good. Okay. Well, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here again on behalf of the Transportation Asset Management Council. So as duly noted, before you, you have a hard copy of our 2022 Roads and Bridges annual report. Also on our website is our electronic version. So if anybody here would like to see a full printout online, you can see that on our website at www.michigan.gov, MIC, and then TAMC. But again, that's I can help anybody find that if needed. So I want to begin first by recognizing our council members. Everyone across the state, there are 617 transportation agencies in the state of Michigan. Each one has a representative on the Transportation Asset Management Council. From the Michigan Municipal League, myself represent the County Road Association. There's Michigan Township Association, and really I think that's the beauty of the Transportation Asset Management Council as it began in 2002. And I do want to thank the State Transportation Commission for your appointments this morning as well. This just speaks to our mission. I do want to add that since 2018, we have updated our mission statement, primarily as it works with the Michigan Infrastructure Council as well as the Water Asset Management Council. So we're still continuing to develop that aspect of our working relationship, but I think the most important thing is promoting the concept of asset management throughout the state and all of our stakeholders. This is a viewpoint of our annual budget. It is approximately $1.8 million. The last increase was in, I believe, 2018 for approximately $250,000. With that, the main focus and the main area is working with our regional partners that really work locally to help accomplish the tasks of the Transportation Asset Management Council. So this is something that we're continuing to look at. The legislation has changed since our beginning in 2002. With that, a lot more demands on the work of the council as well as our partnering agencies and the administrative team. So this will be something that we'll be looking in the future so that we are continuing to support the efforts of asset management and the budget overall. As already noted, this is the annual report, and I would be remiss in not thanking the many folks within the Michigan Department of Transportation who assist us in putting this together. The administrative team for the Transportation Asset Management Council, communications, there's a lot of folks that work on this, and I just really appreciate their efforts in bringing a nice report to the state. Report highlights, overall, 2022 was 20 years of the Transportation Asset Management Council, or TAMC. We have done a lot of work, not to say that we don't have a lot more work to do, but there is a lot, as you'll see later on in my report, that we can be proud of in the state of Michigan and what we've done in asset management. Also, we continued training. One of the positives of 2020, I would say, is the ability to also offer virtual training. A lot of our 617 partners, transportation partners, also have capacity demand issues in terms of sending folks to various trainings, so virtual is another option for us to bring those out to our partners. We also had a successful year of collecting non-federal aid data collection. That was the most lane miles we've collected, and I'll talk a little bit about more as we move forward in the presentation. We did rank in the top areas in terms of nationwide of what we're doing in asset management. Similar to other presentations here today, we are assessing how we rank nationally in terms of what we are doing for asset management. And finally, bridges. We still have a lot of work to do in the bridge area, and I'll speak to that as we move further in the presentation. So federal aid pavement data collection, as you can see, there is a lot of data collected in terms of the condition of our federal aid miles across the state. Overall, we had about, I want to say 60%, I believe, in terms of collected in 2022, combined with 2021. Overall, we still have some work to do on the federal aid piece, but again, this is 617 transportation agencies collecting this data in the same way across the state, so pretty significant. We still have some work to do on our overall expectations of good and fair, but at least we know the condition of our network. This is the trend. In 2022, we did still see some positives from 2021 and 2022, but as we move into the forecast, that is not expected to continue. As we look to 10 years and we look to 2024, we will be seeing additional roads potentially moving into the poor category. But again, we continuously work and update the forecast as we look at various variables that affect the ability of improving our road network across the state. So non-federal aid, already mentioned, we had collected the most lane miles. This is an area that we are continuing to work on and develop. I'd love to have in the future be able to stand before the State Transportation Commission to say that we have all of our roads and their condition across the state collected, whether they're paved or even gravel, that we have a full data set of knowing what the condition is statewide. So we are working to continuously develop this area, but we are proud to say that in 2022 we did have the most lane miles reported to the Transportation Asset Management Council. Bridges, as you can see, this is an area that continues to need work and development, and I know there's a lot of programs that are out there that we're working, whether it be the bridge bundling that the state is doing or other aspects to try to improve this area. The local road agency, bridge conditions are worse, especially in the poor and severe category across the state. And what that potentially means is over 1,200 bridges that potentially need to be rehabilitated or reconstructed. So that's quite an impact overall. The trend here still continues that we're trying to do what we can in preventative maintenance across the state, but the trend still is not positive as we look at our bridges statewide. The forecast, similar as we looked at our paved road conditions on the bridge side over the next 10 years, we do see a significant increase in roads that potentially are moving into poor or severe category. Finally, our investment reporting statistics within our annual report. One thing that I'm not sure that everybody is aware of is all of the transportation agencies across the state are reporting their projects annually into what we love as an acronym of IRT, or the Investment Reporting Tool. So what the Transportation Asset Management Council is able to do is to share how many projects are completed and their potential cost. So as you look at the report for 2022, we have $4.79 billion over the last 3 years, understanding that 2022 data set is yet to be complete. That'll be completed here in the fall of this year, and that's simply because of fiscal years that are different across the transportation agencies, and they are reporting this information at the time that they're reporting their financial data to the state. And bridge project details, again, very similar on the road side, but we have a total of 862 projects reported over the last 3 years with $818 million worth of investment. So again, this reporting allows us to capture some of the same metrics in terms of what are the costs of some of these improvements based on the number of projects that are reported statewide. And as I mentioned earlier on, much like others, we as a council are always looking to how do we compare nationally, frankly, in what we're doing here in asset management, especially as we had 20 years worth of asset management council being in existence. So we partnered with Michigan Tech, or Michigan Technological University, and their Center for Training and Technology and Training, and we reviewed what is the national state of practice. We looked at other peers. We focused primarily on the local road network, and we did not include bridges. But overall, how do we compare? And as we looked at that study, and I can link anybody who's interested in seeing it, Michigan is ranked high as it relates to a unified rating system. So as you may know, the Transportation Asset Management Council uses pavement surface evaluation and rating, or PASER rating, across the state. We're one of the few that have a unified system statewide to be able to assess that network. So there are only 17 states that we looked at with 100% score in this area, so we were proud to be at the top of that viewpoint. State of practices of unified systems in terms of policies and procedures and how they do that statewide. You can see overall, we still continue to rank high in this area, with 25% saying yes, they have a unified system, and we are among them. And then examples of state practices. This is really where, what is the state of practice nationally in looking for how we collect data and bringing that up to a unified source or a data set to the Transportation Asset Management Council. And once again, there are only 3 states with 100% score. You can see all the other ones across nationally. And fundamentally, what that means to us and the recommendations that have come through is that we need to keep improving the practices of asset management. We've come a long way, more work to be done. I think this is a great opportunity as we work with the MIC, the Michigan Infrastructure Council, and the Water Asset Management Council to really change and integrate the culture of asset management throughout our transportation agencies at all levels. Also, it's to establish funding and benefits of using asset management practices, always being able to answer the value, what's in it for me, why should I go do this? Well, hopefully it's information that you ultimately can't live without at all aspects of asset management, not just roads and bridges. And then to move beyond federal aid, that is part of our legislative mission, is to look at other assets across the state. Also being conscious of what does the state need to know, meaning the Transportation Asset Management Council, because there are a lot of capacity demands on our partners to collect this data. And again, it comes back to the value add of how important it is to do it and what it means to them. And then ultimately it's to keep moving forward together. It really is a statewide initiative with all of our partners. And again, we know everybody's very busy. There's a lot of demands out there. Again, we want this to be a national postcard, if you will, on asset management, and knowing that this is something that you can't live without. So looking ahead for the Transportation Asset Management Council, we just approved our 2024 to 2026 strategic plan. We do have a conference set up in Grand Rapids at the Doubletree on 28th Street. That'll be in September. I'll make sure that everybody here gets an invite. We're looking forward to hopefully having great participation there. I will say that in the future, we're hoping to have a joint conference with the Michigan Infrastructure Council as well as the Water Asset Management Council, again, showcasing that asset management across many different types of assets. We also continue to support the transportation asset management plans that was included in our legislation in 2018. Those are required by agencies that have 100 or more certified miles. So we are continuously to work and develop that and support all of these agencies in not only developing the asset management plan, but using it and using it as a tool in their community. And then I've already mentioned the coordinated effort with our other asset management partners. There's a lot of information on the TAMC and the Transportation Asset Management Council on our website. There's dashboards where folks can compare condition data, financial information, safety data, as well as an interactive map. So if anybody would like more information on those, I'm happy to guide you there. Hopefully it's not only for us as industry leaders, but hopefully something for the public as well to showcase what we're doing here in the state of Michigan. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Any quick questions for Joanna? Commissioner Johnson?
Not a question, but more of a comment. Having worked in a number of other states, this is a tremendously accurate representation. There's other states that have no clue how to get to where the state of Michigan is. So just want to say thanks to you and your leadership of this council for the last number of years. So you guys are doing great work. This is a great document.
I appreciate that, but there's many hands, many of which are in this room, that have served on the Transportation Asset Management Council. So appreciate that, but it's a lot of teamwork. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joanna. Appreciate it, and congratulations on 20 years, and thank you for everybody involved for your service on behalf of the taxpayers. Let's move on now to the draft 5-year plan. Michael Case will present. Just for those that are new, this is a 2-step process. We will hear a brief presentation as to this draft, and then that'll be put out. Our job is to putting this out for public comment, and then we'll have another go at it late this year. And once we approve it, at that point, it goes to the state legislature. So, Michael, in the interest of time, if we could do this fairly quickly.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Director, everyone. I'm Michael Case, MDOT's 5-year Transportation Program Specialist. I am going to provide you a brief presentation on what's in this year's 5-year Transportation Program, covering fiscal years 2024 to 2028. As noted in your agenda, this is an action item requesting your approval to post the draft document online and open the public comment period. So real quick, if you're not familiar with the 5-year program or you just need a refresher, MDOT has put this document together since 1999 as a way to provide the public and MDOT internally a resource and checkpoint on the development and delivery of the Trunkline Highway Capital Program. Included within that, we put together a project list, a rolling project list each year, covering for the next 5 years what we plan to construct on the highway program, and provide that to the legislature, state budget director, and House and Senate fiscal agencies by March 1st as required under Michigan law. In addition to highway, we also provide information on the public transportation and aeronautics programs. And for all three, we report on progress, on achievement, and moving toward our performance goals. We provide high-level information about revenue estimates and preliminary investments as well, and also provide this information to the public as a way to help continue to build trust, transparency, and accountability with the department. So moving into this year's program, MDOT is looking at a total investment of $15.6 billion over the next 5 years. That's split up between the highway program at just under $10.9 billion, public transportation at $3.7 billion, and the aeronautics program at $989 million. Breaking down the highway program, we've got just over $6.9 billion dedicated to repairing and rebuilding roads and bridges. We've got $2.5 billion for routine maintenance. That's activities such as snow plowing, streetscaping, sweeping. Safety and system operations is at $906 million over the next 5 years. That's pavement markings, signage, and other operational improvements. And $531 million for additional state and federally funded programs. That's covering things like transportation alternatives, recreational trails, and state-funded programs like rest areas and carpool parking lots. So this is the highway program over the next 5 years. You see a red outline over some bars. That's the preservation side of the program. For that, we're looking at $8.4 billion total over the next 5 years. The rest you can see is routine maintenance. The purple parts of the bars are what Governor Gretchen Whitmer's Rebuilding Michigan program has contributed to this 5-year program. So that stands at about $475 million. Spread over fiscal year 24 and 25. Looking at the year ahead, we've got $2.6 billion in the highway program, with just about $1.2 billion in repairing and rebuilding roads, $454 million in repairing and rebuilding bridges, $253 million in truck line modernization. That's the I-94 modernization project. $476 million for routine maintenance, $195 million for system safety management and operations, and $95 million in other state and federally funded programs. Again, things like transportation alternatives and recreation trails. Looking at the public transportation and aeronautics programs, we've got, again, $4.7 billion over the next 5 years, with $3.7 billion in public transportation. That covers assistance for local and intercity bus, passenger rail, rail freight, and ports, and $989 million for aeronautics, state and local programs, the airport improvement program, and other federally funded programs. So the year ahead for public transportation, this is the bus and marine side, just under $578 million, which is really dedicated to preservation of current transit, ferry, and state-subsidized intercity bus service and infrastructure. That also includes routine vehicle maintenance and replacements and other needs identified through the transit asset management plans. For the rail and port programs, we're looking at $186.4 million over the next 5 years. There's capital projects in here. Also included is the new center intermodal facility. That is actually the demolition of the facility. There's been some delays over the past couple of years with the city of Detroit and new center facility. Also included is improvements for the Kalamazoo-Dearborn rail line, getting speeds up to 110 miles an hour. And finally, looking at the aeronautics program, the year ahead, $257 million, just over it. The airport improvement program is dedicated to pass-through grant funding for airports that are a part of the National Association of Integrated Airports. We've also got some innovative programs too, focused on, I think it's unmanned aerial vehicles. There's a lot of stuff going on with drones as well. So, and the IIJ airport programs as well, which is the federal funding that we received as part of the most recent federal authorization. So with that, that's the brief version of the presentation. Again, our action is requesting your approval to post the draft document online and open the public comment period for 30 days. Our next steps following your approval, should you provide it, is to start engaging with the public through social media, updating our website, which we're ready to push the button on and go. And that includes an interactive project map as well. We added a layer to that, showing where projects fall within environmental justice areas as well. So we're continually improving this program and the way that we provide the information to the public, making sure they have the right information to make informed comments to us. Then we'll be back in November and present the results of that public comment and any updates that have been made to the program since today. With that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Michael. As always, well done. And the report is well done. Every year it gets better. And I think it's a great service to the people of Michigan to put this out and give them a chance to comment on it, and then and take a relook at it, and then bring it back to us in November. Are there any questions or comments of Michael? Commissioner Johnson.
Of course, Mr. Chair.
All your comments are appreciated, Mr. Johnson.
Michael, it's good to see you. I think, once again, I want to echo the chair's comments. I think this is a great document. Some questions for you and maybe also for the director. One thing that is coming, is going to be facing us, is electric vehicles and charging infrastructure, and how the DOTs are going to react to this issue of having enough charging stations spread throughout the state to accommodate this. And I don't see where we're making investment in that area. Maybe I I missed it, but that's something of, I think that's of concern as the manufacturers are talking about going away from fossil fuel powered vehicles by 2032. So is there anything in the 5-year plan that starts to speak to how we are going to address charging infrastructure?
Not currently in this version of the plan, no. But maybe that's something, Mr. Director, if you'd like to jump in and some of the efforts that are going on with that.
Sure. Yeah, it's not in the 5-year plan necessarily, but you may be familiar with another acronym, NEVI, National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Funding, that we've gotten from the IIJA. I'm going to be looking at my planning folks right now, but it's roughly $100 and some million over 5 years that we're actively in the process of contracting right now to build out the backbone of the charging stations along what are called our alternate fuel corridors. In Michigan, our alternate fuel corridors are essentially the interstates and the freeways. The idea is that we're going to engage with entities that will develop what are called DC, direct current fast charging stations, every 50 miles along those routes within a mile of the route. So our intention, again, is to really build this out all across the state. And these fast chargers, I'm not an electric vehicle owner, but as I understand, they can charge up a vehicle in about 10, 15 minutes. So we're trying to do what we can using these national funds to really build that out and reduce range anxiety for folks as they want to travel about the state. Once that build out is done, every 50 miles along those routes, then those monies can be turned more towards community, within communities and whatnot. But there are also additional opportunities currently for that as well. So although not included in the 5-year plan, there are many things that the department is doing to help catalyze the build out of that system so that we can support it. And that includes not only working with the developers that are going to build these, but also the power providers and local agencies and whole kinds of stakeholders.
So that is excellent to hear, and I think this is going to be one of the next challenges for DOTs, how we deal with that. We can't have electric vehicles sitting on the shoulders uncharged. So great document. I'm distressed on the major highway projects, I-94 2053 completion. I'm distressed at that, but I'm also heartened at I-75 in Oakland County. I was through that corridor, and that looks fantastic. So great job. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Other questions or comments? As a proud driver of a Michigan-manufactured Chevrolet Bolt, I would appreciate it if MDOT would think about a charging station right out front here so I could drive it here instead of my big SUV. I think I could drive it here and turn around and get back, but I'd like the assurances that I could plug it in when I got here. Any other comments about the 5-year plan? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve MDOT going ahead with this for publication and public review.
So moved.
Commissioner Johnson moved. Support from Commissioner Brown. Or was it? I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I only heard one voice down there. Okay. Our new commissioner, Commissioner Welborn. So, any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Same disapproval, same sign. It is passed. So, Michael, go work your magic.
Thank you so much.
All right, we've completed our agenda. We are now at the public comment period. We've received no pre-indication from anyone from the public wanting to address the commission, but the floor is open. Okay, I see no one wanting to come before us. Our next meeting is November 9th. The location is to be determined. I'd like to thank Michael Trout from the aviation folks for letting us continue to use this fine facility when we do meet here. Thank you, Michael. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you.